Hey, what's up guys? Back at it again with the DR project here. Click top of the screen here now if you want to check out videos that I've already done on it. We're just getting into this project and we're going to do a little bit more work tonight because if you remember, we've got to get that back tire situation figured out. We're also going to service the chain and rear sprocket there, and we're going to clean up that rim. So a little bit of work there, and I figured I'd take you guys along. First thing I'm going to do here is pop off this chain guard. Make sure to keep those bolts safe. Now with a chain driven bike like this that runs a lot in the dirt, of course you want to keep that chain greased. But what comes with the sticky grease and being in the dirt all the time is a chain that gets really gritty, really nasty, and it can be hard to clean. You could break the chain and take it completely off the bike and soak it in like a chemical bath or something and really strip it down, which would be like the ultimate way to clean it up. But that's not really practical all the time. So what I'll do is, with the bike suspended like this, I'll fire up the engine, I'll put it in gear, just let my clutch out and let that wheel roll. Now my KLR was great for this. I'm assuming this one will have no problem rolling its tire just without giving it throttle, just idling along. I'll idle the bike up or choke it up if I have to. But and as that wheel is just rolling back here, I'll just take a wire brush like this, a little bit of brake cleaner, and I'll just start scrubbing down the chain from either side. It just works really well for stripping everything off, and we'll have a beautifully clean chain. So you can see where I held the brush right in around here on the sprocket, that it just cleaned the sprocket up real nice, and that chain as well, just cleaned up beautifully. Cleaned all the thick gunk that builds up on there, cleaned all that off. I'll use the same technique to grease the chain when the time comes. So after we get the new rear tire on there and putting this all back together, I'll get the bike going again. And once it gets rolling, we can just free flow some grease on there, some good chain grease, and it'll be just nice, evenly distributed, and get it all in through there. It'll be real nice. I don't have a ratchet big enough for this nut, so I'm using a wrench, and that was way too easy to break loose. That's a little bit alarming. That's about as dry as it gets right there. Anytime you're taking a wheel in like this, because I am taking it into the shop tomorrow to get the tire mounted and balanced, take any like wheel spacers or anything like that that you might think are fixed there, but a lot of them aren't. There's usually one or two on the outsides that you can pluck out just to make sure they're not lost at the shop, because that would really suck if that happened. But yeah, some people hang these tires themselves. but these big tires are super stiff and hard to manage, especially with tubes in there. You often damage the tubes. But besides that, I want a good balanced tire. Might not be important to some people, but yeah, I want a balanced wheel on my bike. Since it will be going on the highway, these big dual sports like this can handle the highway no problem, so I want to make sure that we have nice balanced wheels for that. Here we go, next day. I had that mounted up this morning. That is a good looking tire. Look at that beautiful lug. It's definitely going to get me higher up. I might have to switch out. There's one adjustment point in the swing arm link there that allows me to lower the bike a little bit. I might have to switch that out, because this is going to take a bit of height away from me for sure. So but we're going to get this back on now. We're going to pack everything in grease properly. I cleaned up all the parts last night, the shaft and the spacers and everything, so we should have a much better, much smoother running rear end there now than what we started with. If you remember how that shaft looked before and how we had to pound it out of there, first I scrubbed it all down on the wire brush, and I noticed there were a few minor spots where the shaft was pitted and had kind of swollen up a little bit, and a few indentations, grooves worn in there as well. I did something I've done on a few shafts before. I ran it on my 220 grit belt. It's a real fine, a worn 220, a real fine belt. Just rounded it along there and polished out all that pitting, and then I put it back on the felt wheel with some compound and polished it, so it's just a beautifully slick finish there now. So this shaft will run much better for that rear wheel. Give it a nice coat of grease there now. I'm just using a standard hard grease, and this should go through there much easier now, although now we have the struggle of getting it all back together and getting that disc inside the brake pads and everything. But well, there it is, guys. Another part to this build complete. That is that rear tire on, and that the whole back end here just cleaned up and rolling freer, and just feels so much better. Just took it for a rip, and with that tire, man, what a difference in the way it pulls. Although now I notice, because it's gripping so hard, now I notice that kind of bogginess and lag even more, because you're lying into it, and when normally it would be free enough that it would just spin its tire over, now it's really biting in, it's getting some traction, and you notice that kind of that dip in the power there. So gonna keep working on this project. We got some parts on the way, so stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button. Let me know in the comment section what else you think I should do with this project, and yeah, see you in the next video.